Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Another beginning of another good week. We'd like to say TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday, and we're so glad. But how do we go from here? Let's see, what do we got going on today? Let's double check, make sure we got a screen up there and we got a picture and the whole bit. Let's double check that. Let's give it that real recycling. But in the end result is that a little commercial comes up first on Facebook. Not Facebook, I'm sorry, YouTube. There we are. And I hear our voice. There we go. There we are. All good there. All right. So, we start off, you're taking a look at you can see the dollar has been weakening a little bit here. You can see how the dollar against the Swiss has been moving down, which means that the Swiss is gaining against the dollar, and obviously we're seeing more strength. We're not seeing a lot of weeklies jump in yet, but we are seeing a lot more strength, and that's not it. Right there. Let's see. Let's get it up to there. There we go. I know there's a button around here somewhere that'll do it. There it is. There we go. And there you can see on the J4X here with the red hinky ASCII bars, and you can see the white line breaking down. Same thing here on Chicago Quant. You can see we're in the third day of a sell. Red dots there matching up to the hinkies, and the white line breaking, the zero line breaking down. Now the weekly, you can see the weekly has not let go yet. It's bouncing off of the what's it bouncing off of? It's bouncing off the time manifold there. So we'll see on the weekly time manifold. See how that plays out right there. See it? It's showing life in the green and the blue, and everything is, and the histograms are all, very firm there. Now, let's see what else we got going on there. Go with that one too. There we are. I guess what you could say is, Robin had mentioned to me a little while ago about the idea of, earlier, like a half hour ago, about digital currency, American digital currency of some form. I just don't see that happening. But, anything's possible in this day and age, but, I don't really see much of an event happening in that fashion. And at the same time, we look at the markets, they had a really fantastic run last week. The equity markets across the planet really bottomed out, tried to lift up. I myself think it may be a dead cat bounce, and we've seen oil, going into, was it in a sell for a couple days until last week? And then I think we were like 5 or 6 days in a sell. And then, it started to bottom out, and after hitting 131 and so forth in the States here, and I think Brent hitting the 135, 138 area, backed off, and, we've seen them pull back to the century market, I guess you would call it, the $100 barrel type thing. We drifted as low as $93. So maybe things are calming down a little bit. I guess the big story over the weekend has been the hypersonic weapon that Mr. Putin has used. Moves about 1,500 kilometers an hour, something like that, 1,400 and some odd kilometers an hour. Moves pretty fast. And he used that on the Ukraines, which is a real disappointment in the sense of, he's aiming those things at the civilians. So it makes it even, I guess, what do they call that, a war criminal or war crime? Not a positive thing there, But in the end result is that that is what we're living with, and the markets are trying to bottom out. And I'm hearing great stories about, over the next 6 months to a year, own more physical and less, stock, that type of thing. In other words, you would own like gold or gold stocks, so you will own some stocks, or companies that can still raise their prices that are a necessity, like soap and, cleaners and, all kinds of things that are really a necessity. Food, we're hearing stories about that. So it's been an interesting weekend to hear all these concerns. Mr. Powell had come out, said something about inflation ending or starting to really turn down next year. which I kind of agree with him. Which it's rare for me to agree with him, but I do agree. I don't think inflation going into this time next year will be anywhere near as nasty as it is now. So, oh, let's check the chat line and see what's going on there. Where's that at? Trade. Right there. And we open that up. And let's see. I could hear me, but I couldn't see the chat line. Nope, don't see anything on the chat line. So, okay, we're good. We didn't miss anybody's question. That's always a positive thing. What else can we say? I guess that's about it. All right. So, let's drift over to the pairs again as we started this with. And you can see the dollar is weaker, which is, again, another nice positive sign. You know, that's something we want to see. We want to see a weaker dollar. And oil's moving sideways to down, which is a very positive thing also. And then obviously some commodities would be nice if they just stopped exploding to all-time highs. That would be the nicest of all. All right. And from there we'll go over to the euro. And there you can see the euro has been trying. It's been in a buy for 3 days. Where's that mouse at? There it is. Let's take that, move that there. So I have the right mouse. There we go. So you can see right there, you know, J4X in the, looking at the euro. Right there. You see it's been green for 2, 3, 4, a 5th day here. We went into a buy 3 days ago. Right there. So you do that right there. Oop. You can see it right there. And we went up for a few days, sold down on Friday a little bit. Yeah, I mean, just, you know, a little profit taking. And you can see now we're actually flirting with the zero line here. At the same time, you can see our manifold is not being challenged on the upside, so I don't have a lot of confidence at the moment on this bounce. And at the same time, over here on J4X, you see the same situation. Where's that? Right there. You can see it. The white line is trying to turn down just like our math is turning down right here, like that, on the daily. And heading towards the three-dimensional zero line, or the yellow dashed line itself. Instead of it being straight across, it kind of flows behind it. And you see we have a full red going on, and if it stays like this for another hour and a half, I would imagine the J4X will turn red. All right, from there, let's see. Let's take a look at Mr. and Mrs. Cable. See what the cable looks like this morning. Let's see. Right there. And there's the cable. You know, 4 days in that hinky ashy buy. The white line has turned down. Let's see how it looks over on right there. Doing the same thing. Matter of fact, you can see it over here. It's minus at the moment, breaking the zero line. And we had 3 greens, and now we have no dot at all. And that weekly doesn't look appealing. Let's say that for the bull side of this. Definitely not appealing. And here we are parked, you know, right there on the channel. Just parked right there. Matter of fact, it looks like a reverse head and shoulders. You would think this thing wants to go up like that. And that is the action we're seeing on the on that side of it, which is fascinating in its own right. You know, the fact that, you know, the dollar is weakening against the, you know, the Swiss and so forth, and it was weakening against the other pairs trades too, the major pairs trades, but not lasting. Definitely not lasting. What do we have to say about any of that? You know, I'm just trying to interpret. Boy, when I look on the J4X there and you see all those red hinkies heading down for weeks at that top, from the 136 area to play the bottom end of the range. Amazing. Stopped at the bottom end of the range and is basically just in essence too. When you really look at this, you're going back to what was that? That's like 3-4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, yeah, 5 weeks ago. And when you look at that, in February right here, you see what it did is it bounced up against the mid of the range. That's what it did. It didn't even take out the top of the range. It just went to the mid range, bang there again. It banged there back in November. It went down to the bottom of the range in here, but it not really doing much more than that. So they really haven't been buying it. They haven't been going after it. No doubt that Great Britain has some real noise in the background going on, and then you got to figure this Putin situation making it even worse. And at least they made more sense with that since they were the signer of that treaty. So at least they're standing up to their word. And NATO overall has been doing a good job. I think they're doing their best without starting World War III, which Mr. Zelensky came out and said, if we don't negotiate a settlement, this will be the beginning of World War III. And in a lot of ways, he's right. And that's kind of freaky in its own right. There's no doubt about it. We are looking at unique markets in unique times. Only difference is that instead of mistakes that are back in the previous century and the early decades in particular, troop movement and information like that was really confusing, and sometimes attacks were set up on the rumor or belief that it was happening when it wasn't happening, which would escalate things. In this modern era of communications, almost simultaneous, it slows it down. It does, and maybe opens the doorway for more peace. Maybe that's why we see oil backing off, and we see metals backing off, and we see the dollar backing off, or at least not exploding through the roof, I guess you could say. All right, from the cable, let's move over to the Turkish lira. Let's see what she's up to today. Right there, you can see dollar Turkish lira. You see here it's backed off in the, it hit the top end of the rectangle. Oh no, it isn't. It's still there. It's banging and trying to pierce it now as we speak. And you can see we've been in a daily buy, and you can see we've been in the weekly buy for a while here. So it doesn't seem to be pairing off at all. Then when we go and take a look at the euro Turkish lira, which I find to be the more accurate of the two pairs trades and more consistent, more profitable. Let's put it up on there. Right there. You see it's not taking out this yet. You can see 3 days of green. And we've had the same thing over here. We've been in a daily buy now for this is the 4th day. And but we haven't taken out the top end. Let's tighten that up a little bit. There we go. You can see it hasn't taken out the rectangle. So I trust this more. At the same time, you can see we've been in a weekly buy with this little punch there. And basically, as you can see, it's curving again, starting to break the time manifold there. Heading down. I'm not sure why that's green. We should probably make it like the other colors. The gold, like so. White and green. There we are. Let's do the same thing here. There we are. So you see the same action. Now the daily, it's curving, but it's not heading south. So something to be concerned about. At the same time, you can see the weekly, which just missed right there. Look at that. It was minus 0.0013. Just missed making it into the buy there. Whereas the dollar pairs has been in a buy throughout this whole process. And that's why we say we follow this a little bit more closer, because this seems to be much more accurate. At the same time, you can see it's challenging the manifold there as we speak. Now, let's see. From there, we drift over to the Canadian. There's the Canadian. See the pressure on it today, right there. And you can see the weekly having a real issue about trying to get going on the upside here. The positive thing, I guess you could say, out of this bounce is you can see the blue line has made it through, but we're not seeing the green line and the histogram really show any real life in it. As long as this green line stays underneath this manifold, it's going to be like this again. It's going to find another way to roll over. And more than likely what will happen is the blue line will top out, pierce here, over in this area here somewhere, pierce it, and that'll be the beginning of the slide again. Alright, from there, what we normally do is we take a look at the metals complex. Yeah, because we find that the metals complex and the energy complex kind of follow pretty closely what's going on in the pairs trade of Canada. Probably would find the same characteristic over in the the Australian currency too. Let's see, right there, and then we see, back years ago we used to look at the New Zealand against the Canadian, to separate the oil strength out of the Canadian by comparing it to New Zealand. Not there. I'm looking for the crude oil now. Let's put that up there. There it is. And as you can see, that's too big. Here it comes. And there is the crude oil, and you can see it's been very firm, so we should see, let's fix the Canadian a little bit. Alright, let's go like that. And the Canadian, should be aiming down. I mean, with this strength that we see in the oil market, you would think that, normally the Canadian would be, gaining against the dollar in a dramatic fashion. That is usually the way it goes. But of late, it's, with the war situation and all, it's been really upside down in many different directions. All right. From there, where's it at? Right there it is, right there. Gold. Yeah, there you go. Now gold usually is gaining in value. You can see it's been on a downwardly slope, and the daily is still not, what's it now? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Going on a 9th day in a sell. No doubt we got a green dot there. We got the volatility signal, which was kind of curious. And now we're flirting with the weekly sell here in the product at the same time. So what we do is we drift from Canadian on this situation and we go over to South African Rand. Because that's usually an indication that South African Rand should be heading up. And it's not. But you can see it here. It's been on that pressure thing because of the way the gold right there, has been. Well, I guess the nice part is it's stalled out here and stopped dropping, but it's still underneath this area here. So we're not really seeing any real positive action out of the gold complex at the moment. Let's put it up on J4X here. Right. Nope. Yes, right there. There it is. Look at all that red. So the South African Rand, which kind of gains, in other words, it gains against the dollar when gold is firm. In this case here, it's doing it still, but gold seems to have stalled out. Now I can tell you this: when we come back to the metals complex, silver. Last I saw silver, it was in a buy. It had climbed over into the buy area. So it's flirting with going into a daily buy as we speak. And the weekly, I think, was holding up pretty firm in there. So maybe what we're just seeing is some profit taking in the metals complex at the moment. And that could be really the answer we're seeing at the moment. That would make sense. I think we'll have a sip of our tea here. Kelly jumped into the pit. Hey, welcome to the trading pit here. The cyber trading pit. Euro against Swiss. Let's see what it's doing. Euro against the Swiss. Euro Swiss. Euro Swiss. It's close. There it is right there. And let's put it up on J4X too at the same time. Right there. Getting some red there today. And you can see the line has been through the last couple days. Over on Chicago Quant, you can see did we close in a sell last week? Let's see, what is that? Yes, we closed in a sell on Friday. Let's get a red line in there. We'll show it to you again. Come on, mouse. Oh, wrong mouse. There you go, that's why. And you can see the box right here. See where plot 1, if that's the white line, that's a minus 0.00033, and the green is minus 67. So they slid into the sell on Friday. You can see the pressure is there, and at the same time, the green line is coming up to the histogram and on the weekly, and you can see even the blue is trying to get up there. But that's just maybe just a bounce and nothing more. I don't know. It's in a weekly sell since this area here went down, and as much as it went down, it went up. The distance from here to there is basically equal to here to there. So it did the same thing. You can see the little tail even down there. And so, in the end result is that now it seems to be trying to come back to where it went into the weekly sell again. And we'll see if that shows any life. The system gave us a small warning right here. It gave us a volatility wiggle there, and then it went into the daily buy, basically a little above where it went into the weekly sell, and then from there it's been climbing. So the action in that Euro Swiss at the moment, let's see now, how does that work? Let's see, Swiss, so it's a Euro is the lead, so when it's going up, the Euro, and then when it's going down, I guess when it's going down, the Swiss is strengthening against it. So the last 2 days, the Swiss has been strengthening against it, and at the same time, the weekly has been in that weekly sell, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. It's been basically like a rotisserie chicken, just kind of going around in a circle. A little combination of just rotating, chopping away and doing nothing. Now, no doubt, it's had some good action there. All right, now from there, let's see, what do we got here? Let's see. That is the Swiss. Oh, that's right. We'll go back to... Hey, let's see what the ruble's doing. That's right. We're still roaming through there. Unless anybody wants to see anything. Believe me, I love stopping and looking at something else. I enjoy that. Let's see what ruble's doing this morning. I saw it. It was still down, I think. Yeah, just by a hair of its chinny chin. But had a volatility signal, but it's definitely lower than Friday. Still in the buy from the Friday buy right there. I was a little disappointed. I keep on hoping that when we see this currency go down, the war will end or something like that. Let's put that in the right spot. That's my hope. Hope is eternal. There we are. And I would love to see this thing get back into the sell with that volatility signal and break down to this 80s area again. Get it back down to there. All right. Let's see what it looks like over on J4X. It's here somewhere. There it is. No, they're making. Is that what is that? What is that? 183381. I'm not sure what that is, but they're not really making a bid or offer on it right at the moment. You can see that. And this is that today? That's March 7th. They had I guess they put in some quotes in there when they get them, but overall they're not really getting any data from it. I imagine Europe's having a real hard time getting rubles. I know like I said, we have about $300 or $400 billion over here in Russian assets. So I guess we have a lot of rubles, so they have room to be able to trade these things over here. And so that is pretty much the answer to it all. All right, we're going to drift from there over to a more liquid product. Let's go to the dollar yen. Right there. Lots of green. It's taking out the 5-year high. 5-year high. We've talked about that. And right there. They are closed today in Japan for the lunar, whatever they call it, which is spring here. Yesterday was spring, so they were closed, celebrating the equinox of some form or another, the spring equinox, or what do they call it, the spring, it's some type of thing like that. But in the end result, it's because of spring and the moon and the sun coming to some conjunction, I guess it is. Now the yen itself has been drifting up. I guess it's interpreting it's becoming inflationary in a sense. In other words, we've gone from hanging out in the 108s, 109s to now we're at 119. It says to us that there's a concern. They're buying dollars or selling yen. Justified or not, that's what we're seeing. And you can see we've been in a daily buy throughout this whole run. We've been in a weekly buy since this whole run. So it's been winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right. From there, we drift over to the Mexican peso. That's the last of the currencies. We do this rhythm every day of all these unless someone asks questions like, explanation of this or an explanation of that type of thing. And you can see here the peso is heading towards the bottom end of its range. Let's tighten that up a little bit. There it is. See, it's heading towards the bottom end of its range again after it stepped out of it. And where's it at? You can see here we've been in a daily sell since this big push down. It's been gliding. And, we went into the weekly sell right in here before it even popped up. And then we got the daily buy to protect us. So, the math kept you out of that trouble. If you were short, you weren't in trouble with that. Because the math told you to be flat, protect yourself, buy a call or whatever, do a binary, do something, but don't be short. And then at the same time, it went back into the sell. It told you can be short, and sure enough, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Indeed, indeed. All right, from there, we drift over to, let's just minimize this for a moment like that, and we go back to from there we'll go to, we can look at the metals complex from here. So we'll take a look and see. He just answered his text. There we go. There we go. All right. So from there, let's take a quick jump to the silver market. That's what I was saying to you. It's still holding up in weekly buy, playing with a daily buy. So, you know, we've seen this 25, was it the 25.44 area has become real support. That was like the resistance. Remember that, Robin? I see Robin just came in too. Welcome to the cyber pit, Robin. See that? The silver played with that number you were talking about, that 25.44, and it's bounced back off of it. So we're up in the, what, the 26s? Oh, wait a minute. What is that? Is that 26 or 25? Did it break it? No, that's the low. 24.55. That's it right there. See it right there, the low? That's what it is, 24.55. So it's bounced off of that and is holding up and showing some strength. Ooh, what do we got here? PM says, hey, Doc, Euro Aussie long-term thoughts. Let's take a look and see. Let's see if we got long-term thoughts. We'll see what the long-term math says to it. Let's see. So Euro Aussie. Let's get it up on J4X first. I don't know if we've looked at that. That's pretty cool. There's Euro Dollar, Euro Turkey, Euro GBP, Euro Swiss, Euro Aussie. Let's see what Euro Aussie looks like. EUR. Let's see, how does it go? Does it go with a slash? Slash. Maybe it goes the other way. AUD? Maybe it's AUD. Oh no, maybe that's it. Right there. There you go. Euro Aussie. And let's see if we can get it over here on J4X. Oh, I'm sorry, in Chicago. Wow! Look at that thing. That's wild. Wow. From the 162 area down to the 145. Boy, talk about action, action. ACTION. Cool. Now let's go find it over here. Oh, where is that at? Let's go find it. Right there. Euro, there's a euro, there's a euro, there's a euro CAD. Where's that euro CAD? There's euro CAD. There's euro, there's an Aussie CAD. There's euro GBP. There's euro Turkey. There's euro Swiss. There's the 15-minute intraday chart. Okay. Let's add it. Let's find it and let's add it. So we're going to go with that. We'll go to the Commonwealth. Why not? And we'll go up. Add or copy page. And then we will go paste the page. And then let's just make sure where that's at. We'll slide down to it. There it is down at the bottom. And I say OK. And let's stick it in there and see how that looks. AUD. And do that again. All right, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun. All right, let's make the whole page like so. Let's give it a recycle like so. Now let's widen it out like so. So it went into the, when did it go into the daily sell? Right there? Yep, went into the daily sell there with the red dot and all the math turning down at the same time. And stayed in that cell just like J4X. Look at that. Look at J4X over here. It went into the cell at the same time and just rode down, and it played with the dashed line. Tried to get into a buy there, but didn't. There was no green really to want to buy it. And you can see it got through it but fell down again and made another new low with that point right there. And as you can see here, let's widen ours out a little bit more, and let's fix the colors and all too. So the histogram will be white, and the line will be green. There we are. And you can see there, the it bottomed out here with that bounced down, just like on J4X. Right. Let's go double hands. 2 mouses with 2 hands. And so you can see right here, and it started to do the bottoming on the J4X. And our work went into the buy right here, so we'll throw that in there. See how that acted. If I can find my mouse again. Where'd you go, mouse? Okay, right there. So it went into the buy there. Make that a green. And then it went into the sell for a day and then back into the buy again. Interesting. But didn't really go anywhere, did it? And then it went into the sell right here again. But we're in a weekly sell, so you don't want to really take any of the longs. You only want to trade the short side of this. And you got squeezed hard here. You gave up some of the little profit run you had from there to there. You got squeezed right there. And now you're making it all back again right there. Now let's fix the weekly and see what she says. Alright, so the histogram, the manifolds are right. The green line is right. And let's see. Yep, that's all good. Let's close it. And as you can see here, we got the blue line trying to come through, the super side of it, trying to lift up. But look how far away all this is. Let me just make that thicker too. There we are. You can see here, there. And you can see all the weakness here. I don't, I'd say long term, to me long term is like a week or a month, I would think that, it's trying to bounce. I wouldn't be betting on the long side until we get out of this, you can see here, it went into the sell here and then went back into the weekly buy there. Let's see, right there went to the weekly buy. Let's just put them in. Then it went back into the weekly sell here. And let's put the buy in there. So until we get this back up in here, or following the daily, I'd be cautious about trying to play the long side, long-term view. Right now, that's where it stands. Now, looking at J4X, you can see the same thing. The white line has broken down, and it's going into the sell too again. I would let's scrunch that up a little bit more and see how it's acted over the last bunch of over the last year. Let's see. So there's your weekly sell. That weekly buy started back here. It's a good trender, that's for sure. There's your daily sell to it. So it caught that whole. Well, you couldn't. It was. It showed us on the short term that it was trying to go down, but we were still stuck in that weekly buy. So you couldn't really trade it on the long side, or there was no long side signal to begin with. Then when it goes into a weekly sell, it's the next week it goes back into the buy. It's trying to give you a chance, but it's more whipsawish, isn't it? Let's see. There's the weekly buy, and then it sets you up with the daily buy right there, which is okay. That's a winner chicken dinner. You can be long it like so. throughout this. Oh, I see that little whip there, and then back into it again. A little sensitive to it at times, isn't it? Right there. And then we go right back into that again, into the buy, and it becomes a really big winner there. Oh. Then, oh, look at the way that's curious. Look at the way it broke here with the green and the white, and the blue was hanging on, and then when it broke through the time manifold, you knew something was going on, and it was a good clean break. It can be whippy at times. I guess that's the long-term perspective of it all, but not long. That's the thing, is it's amazing. It goes into the sell like right there, and you're able to catch some of that nice move down. Let's do that. Right there. At that top. Oh, no, that's okay. Cancel. And then, see, it does that again. It goes into a daily buy or in a weekly sell, so you're not going to try to take that. And for 2 days, and then it goes back into the sell again. Move that over. Like there. And let's put that buy in there too. That's interesting how it has those little, what they call in the naval service, crazy Ivans. Just a quick turn again. Then you're in a sell. Let's get rid of that. Remove. And you can see there it goes into the sell, and you're in that sell for that whole ride down. Oh, that's a different ride, isn't it? That's another one of those. Wow, this thing can be really something, can it? You can see it goes into the buy here, protects you from the rally, and then goes into a sell again, and there's another win. And then you can see this thing's really lifting up and finally gets into the buy here, and you're in a daily buy there for that move, so you can't be short. At the same time, you are long from there, and it rides up for a week and a half. You know, it's a very dramatic, in many ways, product. And it does some really interesting head fakes too, but they're very short-lived, like 1 day or two and done, and then a trend kicks in. So like in here, you can't get short for that as much as you know it's going down, and it gets into a buy here, pops up the next day, and then it turns into a profit. And if you're money managing it right, then that's okay. You won't take a loss. You'll lock some money in, and then you can see it's breaking down again, but you can't take the short because again we're in that weekly buy from here. Let's put that in there. I would say my long-term thought is that it has a tendency to whip, very short-term whips, whipsaws, and then it takes on a wonderful trend, and you make a lot of money out of it. That's an interesting thing. Very interesting. Like in here, when you get into the daily, there's your daily buy there, it catches that ride all the way up to here, which is not a big move really. And then it does it again right there. And you catch another nice, notice a couple day win. And then every so often you get into these long trend crashes. They smash the heck out of them. Goes on for weeks, and the sell is there. So I guess my long-term view is it's a good trading tool. It seems like something you would want to use options and binaries on with your hard delta, your futures or your spot. And it can be very profitable, I think. It looks like a very profitable product. So PM, I like that. Pull in and say hi once in a while. We'll take a look at this. This is definitely well worth looking at. That's why the Cyber Pit wants everybody to ask questions and look at things, because it's I'm saving this as we speak. There we are. All right. How's that? Did that help you at all? Or you want, like, you're looking like, what's going on for the next 6 months? When you say long term, what do you view as long term? Like monthly or half yearly or quarterly or yearly, or do you have any particular direction you're looking for, you could go check it out on a monthly basis if you have that type of proclivity. But overall, this is just a very good product. You just have to deal with these little whips that occur once in a while, wherever that last whip was. You know, like you see here, it's in a buy. It does make some money over a 2-day period, and then it disappears again, and it goes into a buy again here. And remember, you're in a weekly buy, so you would only take longs. This time it's a little bit more profitable. It goes into the buy here. Yeah, here. You get that pop there, and then it stalls out again. It can be fascinating on a 2-day period where 3 days total. It's almost like that classic. What was her name? I'm trying to think of there's a technician out there who talks about 3-day trades. Raskin? I forget her first name. I used to trade with her in a trading pit years ago. But she has a service out there that talks about 3-day patterns. This definitely shows up in the 3-day pattern category, that's for sure. Yeah, you can see it in it. Yeah, I can see that. I would say that let's see if we can get it. Let's see if we can put a monthly in there. I don't put monthlies up on this too much, but what I will do is after this webinar, I'll go see if I can explore putting a monthly in there with the weekly, and see if we can come up with something. Let's just look at it on a monthly basis over on J4X though. See what spits out. It's not that easy for me to do. This was programmed in, and they all have weeklies and dailies, but not monthlies. I'll see if I can program one for tomorrow. It's still loading on J4X. There you are. Well, you can see here, what's that, 2020, what's that, April, and stayed in it. Well, it did the bounce here, but using the hinkies, and you can see it, a lot of downside pressure. You can see we're back into that again, downside pressure. That's a pretty powerful thing, but then we're on the edge of World War III, so I guess it would make sense that you would see some really wild charts at this point in time. So, yeah, I'll take a look on the monthly on my work and see how it goes from there. Maybe we can see a little bit more insight and give you general, if let's say we've been in a monthly sell for, like 6 months, and now we're in a monthly buy. If we're in a monthly buy, which I kind of doubt, but you can see, let's look at it J4X again. The similarities with J4X and our math. You can see here, that's a pretty big bar of red. So there's a good chance it's trying to find a bottom in there. Let's put the math up. You can see this is doing the same thing. It's trying to bottom out and making higher lows. So there's a chance that this might be coming into a bottom, and we could check out our math to see if it's playing with a monthly buy. I kind of doubt it, but you never know. I would think, let's see, what's this? This is May. No, this is March right now. So maybe we may be building towards like an April bottom in this thing. Maybe that's what's happening. And the weekly, I guess the first obvious key is we need the weekly to turn up. That's what we really need. Is we need that weekly to turn up. And if the weekly will turn up and we're climbing into like a monthly buy at the same time, then you could say, long-term wise, you could see 4 to 8 weeks of some strength to develop, which means, bull spreads, binaries, however you'd use the derivatives. And at the same time, you might be long the cash or the futures contract, and at the same time, you might be, say, selling some calls that are up in the 155 area or something like that. It's just hedging it out a little bit for the bouncing around. Nice, yeah, extension. The where the on the monthly. Is it the monthly or oh, we're back in the daily again. Where's the extension, Robin? Oh, wait a minute. Why'd they take your message off? You're just talking about an extension, right? And then, or this could be like a big A down. This is the B, and if it's a failed C, and then it stalls out in here and starts to turn back up. It definitely interpreted the war coming on, didn't it? The Euro Aussie, and that's probably the Aussie itself more than, I'm sorry, not the Aussie, the Euro itself. You know, just getting weak from the potential war to war. The last chart, the monthly. Let's go back to it. Over on J4X, let's take a look at that. There it is, right there. Sure is pressing down, isn't it? Well, I guess what we need is to see strength in the euro too at the same time. You know, if we get some strength in the euro, that would make some sense. Yeah. So PM, I would say let's just keep an eye on the weekly to start off with. I'll do some monthly research on my work. You see the monthly research right there on the J4X. And what we need to see is this thing start to turn on a weekly basis to start it off. Yeah, that is. It's pretty tough. But then I guess when you're, remember, that's a monthly chart. So I mean, the war's been on what, 24 days, 23 days. What is it? I think someone said it's 23 days. I think Wednesday night is 28 days. I think that's how it is. It must be 24 or 25 days. So Wednesday night will be 28 days this has been going on. So that's almost, yeah. That kind of fits into the whole scenario there. No problem. Let's see, where did we leave off on the metals? We were talking about silver, right? Let's just take a quick look at silver again. Yeah, there's the silver right there. Probably why we're seeing that strength in the metals. You know, I mean, I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, I heard over the weekend and read some stuff where a lot of banks are really starting to step up their gold buying. They're getting a little nervous in here. Now, we're not really seeing it in the price itself because we're still, you know, in a sell. But there's silver, you know, refusing to go into the sell on a weekly basis where we have, let's just go back to that real quick. Gold is flirting with the weekly sell at the moment. So if this gets cleaned up and we start to get back into the plus, that could be the next pop on the upside. All right, from there, we'll take a look at copper. There's the copper. You know, kind of doing that A, B, and maybe a C, but we're still in a daily buy. You can see that right there, and you can see we've been in a weekly buy since back in here, which is not that, you know, it hasn't really appreciated. Someone said something to me over the weekend about copper. You know, wherever I was, somewhere, I was at one farm. They were setting up their greenhouses. They're like 160 feet long. Those greenhouses are enormous, and they brought a tractor and trailer load of trays full of was it not eggplant, cucumbers. Let's see, what am I looking for here? Oh, copper. Let's put copper up on there. There's copper right there. So, someone said to me, you know, boy, this copper's been going up in price, hasn't it? It's like, yeah, it really has. You know, to use it for probably water lines or something like that. You know, to the main trunk of the water line to feed their plants, that type of thing. We're starting to get the farming going on around here. Let's see. So you can see here copper trying to lift back up, and you can see it's been that long weekly buy, but you know, you had the pop at the beginning, and that's it. I understand last week they started trading, I think I mentioned it in last week's webinar, they started trading nickel again. And they were making, you know, it had closed out, they had to close the exchange at 107 a ton. Was it 20 tons? 20 tons for $107,000, and now it's back down. Last I saw, it's trading in the 30s, or they're making a market 25,000 at 37,000 off of Goldman. So, there's a little tough confusion, what to do and how to do it at this point in time. It's not the prettiest party, that's for sure. But the metals are doing it. Let's jump over to platinum. It's Monday. Let's see what platinum is doing. There's the platinum. Yeah, but I mean they topped it out at 107. Now it's maybe in the 30s. So, wow, what a crazy move from 24,000 to 107,000, and then I guess they trade them in 20-ton contracts. And then now back down to $37,000. Wow. Talk about squeezes. There's platinum. Platinum is flirting again like last week with the weekly sell. It's doing it there again. It came back out of it by the end of the week and got back into the weekly buy. So let's see what they do with that. It's doing the same thing as gold is doing at the moment, pushing into that sell. What else can we say about any of these things at this point? Well, I guess I got to come up with a title for this. What did we talk about today? We talked about, how about the euro week across the board type of thing? Let's just take a quick look on the J4X on euro. But I think the euro is pretty much reflecting that slow, steady weakness. Yeah, that's a monthly. Now, it's been strong the last couple of days, but now it's rolling over. Let's see where we are on Chicago Quant. Let's just see, look at the euro. Maybe we'll title this one the euro. Yeah, I think we'll label it as the euro still weak. Makes there we go. War makes euro weak. That seems to be the action of it all. If it was like threatening a weekly buy or something, I would be much more inclined not to think this weakness is going to stay. But the fact that the green line can't get going and the blue line is running by itself at this point says to me that this is just a plateau. And that could have been the title too. Euro trapped on a plateau pattern. All right, traders, we're out of here. This is Doc from North America. Catch you all Tuesday. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders.